that big fat butt. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle.
Hello, welcome to the program Vet and You. Vet is a program where we take a look about the world of animals, pets, and all in general. And last year was a successful one. Thank God for last year. We're entering a new year. I wish all the fans a new year and every good thing of this year. So on today's program, I'll be looking at common disease in poultry farm. And my name is Odion Musa. So I just want to look for a clip that just go after that clip. We'll come to the program. Don't go away.
Largely, when we're talking about avian influenza cases affecting humans, this is in people who have had close contact with poultry or other types of birds that could carry or get infected with avian influenza. Often in these outbreaks, you'll see a handful of cases, perhaps even more, of people who have had no contact with a sick bird as part of the outbreak, but instead got it from somebody else who got it from a sick bird. Now, that's not doesn't suggest very efficient human-to-human transmission, but it does get us a little concerned. When we start to see really highly efficient transmission between people, human-to-human transmission of a novel strain, something that in our general population has not seen, that is when we get really concerned that this could be the next pandemic strain. Avian influenza viruses infecting humans are similar in many ways to human influenza viruses infecting humans. It's often spread through respiratory droplets or other respiratory kinds of secretions from person to person. Often the person who's getting it from a sick bird is getting it through their droppings or things like that. But when it's spread from person to person, it's through their respiratory secretions, usually through droplets. If somebody were to go near poultry, whether in the United States or elsewhere in the world, and develop some sort of respiratory infection, that they let their healthcare provider know, hey, I had this exposure. I was in Shanghai at an open poultry market, and 5 days later I started getting sick. These sorts of things. That way it's on the radar of the healthcare provider.
From that clip is a wonderful clip that educates you on how you take care of a poultry and so many things. And with someone here, our regular guest in the program, that will do justice to those topics that we are raising now. And it's not less than Dr. Ella Odeke. Okay, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year, my PAWS family. Happy New Year, my animal lovers. It's nice to be with you again. Thank you.
It's really nice to have you again this New Year. Well, Doctor, we are looking at an topic called, you said, what are the common diseases we find in the poultry farm? So what are the common diseases?
Okay. Common diseases found in the poultry farm include we have the avian influenza, just as we just watched now. We have infectious bronchitis. We have the ectoparasites like the mites. We also have egg yolk peritonitis. We have egg-bound disease. Some of them are infectious. They can be classified into infectious and non-infectious. Now, the infectious are the ones that are caused by infectious organisms or that can be transferred from one bird to the other. The non-infectious are the ones that are caused by managerial problems in the farm. So then the infectious are the ones that are also caused by viral infection, bacterial infection. Those are the infectious. Then the non-infectious can be the ones that are just by managerial problems, maybe excess food in the farm, or poor diet quality, managerial problems, if the farm is not, you don't pack the litters at the right time, those are the ones that are non-infectious diseases.
Well, the diseases that normally comes with, we used to know the one we call avian influenza, the one we call bird flu.
Yeah.
Does it really have a cure?
Avian influenza is caused by virus, and there are two stages of this avian influenza. The first stage is the one that can be managed by administering antibiotics. That's at the very early stage. It's not the high infectious stage. That's what they call the first stage. Is that stage where it's not highly infectious at that point, the early stage, where you just see withdrawal from feed by the birds, where you see just unthriftiness. You can even see there may be breathing challenges in the bird, in the head. But the second stage is where it is highly contagious. Thereby, you see swollen face, you see mucus from the nose, from the mouth. You could even see blood-stained mucus. You could even see whitish spot at the feet, and reddish whitish spot at the feet. Those are the highly infectious stage. Now, at that point, when it becomes highly infectious, that is, at that point, there is no cure. You just have to call off those birds. When we say call off the birds, what do we mean? We mean that you slaughter all the birds and you burn them. You dig a big pit and you bury and burn.
So is no other alternative?
No other alternative.
I don't want to see now. This one we call it Newcastle disease.
This is torticollis.
Okay, yeah. And
this is the sign of Newcastle disease. When you see them, they turn their head, they twist their head. Because Newcastle disease, it affects both the nervous system. It affects the nervous system, such that there will be this torticollis, twisting of the neck. That's what we call torticollis. It also affects the digestive system. That is, there are two forms of Newcastle disease: the digestive form and the nerval form. Is that nervous form that you see them? There's this twisting of the head. Yes, that's the head. While the Newcastle disease of digestive system, you see watery feces, greenish watery feces, and all.
So, like this Newcastle diseases in the birds, does it really have any cure? Like, what are the cure?
But Newcastle, when we understand that, when we group diseases based on bacteria, viral, fungal, then non-infectious disease, that's when we understand whether they have cure or they don't have cure. Now, viral diseases basically do not have cure. What we doctors do is we treat symptomatically. That is to say, we treat based on the symptoms we see, and most times we place these animals on strong antibiotics. Why do we place on strong antibiotics? We place on strong antibiotics because we want to rule off secondary bacterial diseases that can creep in when these animals come down. Now, when they come down with viral infection, their immunity drops, and when their immunity drops, then secondary bacterial infection will come in. That is why we treat symptomatically and also administer antibiotics. So Newcastle disease, the best way of preventing your birds from coming down with this viral infection like the avian influenza, the Newcastle, is vaccination. We have the regimen for vaccination. So, like, when is the right time what is the right time to vaccinate the birds? Okay, like in the broilers now, it is expected that in the hatchery, they are given Hitchner. It's a form of Newcastle vaccine that they take intraocularly, that is to say through their eyes. They spray it, it's like aerosol, they spray it and their eyes is open and it enters into their eyes and it immunes them at day one, at the hatchery, when they are hatching them. Then when you buy them at day old, on the 7th day, you give them what we call Lasota.
On the 7th day.
On the 7th day, you give them Lasota in their water. Give them Lasota in their water. Then on that is the 7th. That means the first week, the end of the first week. The 3rd week, you give them another dose of Lasota. Then at the 6th week, you give them another dose. When you do that,
That's like 3 times now.
This is for broiler birds, because broiler birds, their lifespan is usually from at 8 weeks they are due for slaughter. They are called table size at 8 weeks. At 8 weeks you should slaughter and start another set. For economic values, for economic reasons, even for the birds. Now, if the birds they stay longer, economically it's not good for you, and even for the birds because they keep feeding. At some point, you'll be at loss. At some point, they may even eat so and they become so big, and they may even come down with liver fatty syndrome. So at 8 weeks is just the best time to slaughter them. So if you are keeping broiler birds, it's first day 1 at the hatchery, then the 7th day, the 3rd week, the 6th week. When you do this and your management is okay, I promise you wouldn't have outbreak of Newcastle disease in your farm.
But the area I'm concerned about is like when these birds are with this disease, is it really fit for someone to like for it to eat, to take for slaughter for eating?
No. Once these birds come down with this disease.
Because when we're growing up, when we start seeing those fowls turning the head that we're seeing just go there and go and kill it. We feel maybe killing fowl. Maybe that was the only alternative to at least you can't kill it because you spend so much money and you need to let them just kill it and just eat it. So, but does it really have any side effect on human eating such birds? Because you can imagine. Like most of the birds we buy in the market, like the one we buy at the market, how do you know if those ones are with this disease before they'll kill it or sell it? So I don't really know.
It's not right to eat a bird that is sick. It's not right. The best you can do if you have the head of, because it may not just be only Newcastle. It may be something else. It could be other nervous diseases. It could be if you start eating because you're eating Newcastle, when you see the word avian influenza, you eat because it's almost like let's kill and eat. And you get the best thing to do when your birds are sick. You call your vets, they come. Most times we do not advise you vaccinate an animal that has already come down with the disease because the immune system is already compromised. You now vaccinate everything, and the animal most times they die. But funny enough, in the case of surprisingly enough, in the case of Newcastle disease, I found out that when you've noticed that you skipped the vaccination, so your birds have come down with Newcastle, just still do the vaccination. There's something we call herd immunity.
Okay.
Once you've vaccinated, of course, some will drink the water you kept, and they will get their immunity. Some may not even take much. But once the herd immunity is 70 to 80%, it covers the rest of the birds in the farm. So once you vaccinate, the ones that will survive will definitely survive.
So, because at times you just see one, we have that, let me say that virus at first, one. Maybe the way you just like, let me just overlook. At the end, you see 2, 3, 4, 5. At the end, at
that point, when you see one come down, it's obvious that there's an outbreak in the farm.
So
the best thing to do is
do then?
Vaccinate all of them.
Are you not supposed to take that one separate?
You definitely isolate,
okay.
But aside from isolating, vaccinate every one of them. Because there may be some which immune system is higher that may not show the clinical signs until later. So it's better you vaccinate every one of them and watch. I've kept birds before, and that's what I did for Newcastle. I vaccinated all of them. That one that was showing that torticollis sign, it didn't die because of the Newcastle. Instead, it died because it was not you know, you're having difficulty to eat.
Yes, it's
So
really finding out.
most times you see that one is not growing, it's just the way it is. Most times it may even be nutritional, poor nutrition that will make it end up dying, and you save the others.
Because the thing will really making not to eat like others.
Yes.
It will be very difficult for the bird to eat because of the way the thing is really disturbing the pet.
Yes.
So and again the other way around though, we really need to, as in, let's say, how do we solve this menace? How do we just eradicate it out? Because it's a really big problem.
To eradication, we start from our doorsteps. Everybody that has farm should do the right thing, follow the regimen, vaccinate when you're due for vaccination, do the right thing, do it properly. Don't do it because, we need to vaccinate, you just vaccinate there. Be sure that the dose you're using is the right dose and vaccinate at the right time. And try to make sure you have this biosecurity. Biosecurity is very, very important to ward off viral infection. What do I mean by biosecurity? If you go to a proper poultry farm, you find out that there's a dip in front of the poultry farm where you don't use your footwear to enter. There is a footwear inside the poultry farm that is already stationed there. You also have the footwear. You dip it in that dip contains disinfectants.
It's not everybody, it's not every poultry you find such things.
Now I'm saying it here. Everybody should make sure that there's a dip in front of the poultry farm, such that once you are entering, you dip your foot in before you enter, so you do not carry infectious organisms, infectious diseases, and enter into the poultry farm.
Okay, just like you're sterilizing the...
Yes, because we match, they pick things from the ground. Aside from the food they eat, they also pick things from the ground. And another thing we should do, make sure that the place is well ventilated. We should also make sure that their litter is always packed. Don't leave. There are some poultry farms where you get there, you just get this stench of ammonia because they defecate and it's not packed. The place is wet, it's not packed. That's when you see, my birds are dying. Coccidiosis coming. Also, all manner of diseases come because why? The managerial plan is poor. There's no proper management, so everything goes bad.
So everything boils back to the
management is key.
Yeah.
It's very key.
So if we really need to move forward to get it right, we have to manage well. We have to make everything clean. That's all. Or taking from the doctor, because he's trying to enlighten us on how to prevent those menace, the infection that you could get for all these maybe your birds. And again, we should be very, very careful the way we just eat meat generally, like birds, because we don't really know if those birds were buying from the market and eating is really are they free from this kind of disease? Because there's no how you know maybe from the market, there's no how you can tell chicken that is sick or the bird that is sick.
Once it's
slaughtered, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking with Dr. Ella on that, and again, let's also take a break and come back. And I'm going to a prayer. It's not really concerning what we are talking about. It's just like it's a work, or I call it a popular demand. People are asking, sending message. Please, we have dog. We want to bring the dog to, let's say we want to choose a new dog to other dogs. So I have a clip on that will tell you how to go, at least how do you introduce a new dog to the family if you already have. So let us go back to there and let's go back to the clip and come back to the program. Don't go away, stay with us.
to an adult lab. If you already have another lab at home or another dog, for instance, one of the things that's most important is to understand dog packs. And some of the information I'm going to give in these videos is going to talk a lot about dog packs in general, because when you understand how dogs interact naturally together, you'll understand how to better understand how dogs are communicating with each other and how to communicate with your dog. One of the things that can happen that I always let people know about is if you bring the same sex dog into a household, you may have competition. It's less likely if the dog is older and you bring a puppy in for it to feel threatened. So if you're gonna do that, one good way to test your dog to see how it's gonna react to a puppy is maybe go to a dog park, maybe go to Petco, maybe somewhere where you can see how your dog interacts with dogs of the same sex and of the opposite sex. So that's adult dogs. And I would say most of the time I've seen success even if they're same sex. For some reason that older dog doesn't feel uncomfortable, and we're gonna show you some pictures, some really cute pictures we've got over the years from people of puppies that have gone home and been with other Labradors. Some are our Labradors, some are Labradors that people have already had. And what's really interesting is the way that that older dog will take either a mothering or fathering type of a position, and they'll actually teach the puppy. So when you already have a dog, it's really amazing to watch. And I watched this a couple weeks ago when I had a puppy, and the rest of the litter had gone home, and he was getting picked up like a couple days later. And so I decided, I had Mackie, I had Amy, and I had Romeo at the time inside. And so I decided to watch how this puppy would react being kind of just thrown into this dog pack. I knew it was safe. I didn't do it thinking, I don't know what's going to happen here, because I knew all the temperament of my dogs were such that the dog was not going to be bullied in any way. And it was interesting to watch how Amy, this is a male puppy, Amy, who's kind of the alpha bitch around here, sort of gave him a little sideways glance and a little growl, and that was it. And he knew right away he could be around her, but just keep your distance a little bit. Mackie, kind of the same. Romeo was like, let's play. So Romeo took on this role right away of being like the daddy, and if he had a toy in his mouth, and he loves his toys, he would drop it immediately if the puppy reached for it. When Romeo went out, the puppy went out. When Romeo went potty, the puppy would go potty where Romeo went potty. He showed him everything. It was really interesting. So it can be a really good experience to have that older dog teaching your dog what to do, where to go, what places are off limits, where to go potty, what the...
That's wonderful clip. It was just as in maybe because people are really finding it difficult to bring other dogs to the house. They were scared that maybe these other ones will not allow this one in. So that's why I just said, let me use that clip. So the ones that people that will be calling me, so that they will use that to understand how do you do it. So it's not really what is should be giving you a headache. Well, thank you for being with us, Doctor. Let me just digress for a little bit. That was not our topic we were talking before, but for your own advice, as in someone is trying to bring dog into the house, what's the advice for them?
First and foremost, if you are introducing a new dog into the house, ensure that the health details are okay. Then I would like to say that we shouldn't bring two males into the house, two male dogs into the house, because every male wants to be the
Alpha one,
the territory commander. Just I'm the boss here. It's easier when you introduce a female into the house to other females and even just one male in the house.
Okay.
That's the basic thing. Then it's a gradual thing. You don't just meet people and we are friends. It's gradual.
Okay.
It starts gradually. You can call them together to play together. You be the person taking the lead. You play with them at the same time. You monitor what they are doing. When it is time to, you separate, you go your way. And they shouldn't even be in the same cage.
Okay. So thank you for that wonderful tip giving us to and how to bring dog to bring them together. So, but that was not what we were talking about. We're talking about poultry
diseases.
So before we go, of course, I don't really have time anymore. And before we go, what are the advice you give? If you want to go into poultry, what are the advice you give to them? Like before starting embarking on the poultry for bells, like chicken. What's the advice?
Advice: when you want to start a poultry farm, have in mind what you want to achieve. Do you want to keep birds for eggs? Do you want to keep birds for the eating? Or what do you want to use these poultry birds for? Is it broilers? Is it layers? Is it cockerel? What your purpose should be important. The first and foremost thing you should have in mind. Then you should also look for people that have the technical know-how on how to construct a standard poultry house. You should also have labor. Labor should be put in consideration because you need people to clear the waste. You need people to see to everything they are doing. So
thank you for that wonderful advice. At least we've learned one or two things today. That's going to be how much you can go on today's program on Vet and You. My name is Odion Musa, and I'm with
Dr. Ella Odeke, Vet de la Creme, Busimat Plaza.
Do have a lovely day.
Thank you.